So we are getting very close to the end of training camp, very close to the start of the NFL season. The Packers have just one preseason game remaining tomorrow. If you guys are watching this on Friday, if you're watching it after, then the Packers preseason is over. But I wanted to take a look at some quotes that Jordan Love had to share in a press conference from yesterday about a little bit about this Packers team, this Packers offense. We got to witness just how special this team can be, what they did to end last season near the playoffs. And now with a roster that has even more experience, I do think the sky is the limit for what can be accomplished if the Packers live up to the potential that I really think they have going into this year. So here are some of the quotes. I got them from a Bill Huber Sports Illustrated article. He found some of the best quotes from the interview, the press conference, and I'll leave that article down below. So first off, he said this. He said, "I feel like the team as a whole, we're definitely ready. It's been a great training camp. We definitely got better every day. I feel like, obviously, there's mistakes and things like that happen, but we were able to learn from those. I feel like we're definitely ready to go." And then he was asked when it came to being ready to face off against the Eagles in Brazil in the next couple weeks, what Love's seen to make him believe that the team is ready to face the Eagles. And he said, "It's all a feel thing and feeling where guys are at. When we get back to meetings, what type of mistakes were made? Are we making mental mistakes? Or is it just more, all right, this wasn't a great concept versus what the defense is doing?" Things like that. And it's going to be a good test to start the year against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think when you look at week one across the NFL, it's a time where guys are getting back into the swing of things. Some guys knocking the rust off. I know that for the Packers, there's been some games to start the year in the past where it didn't start off too well. I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was against the New Orleans Saints, where the Packers got absolutely blown out 37-3. The season ended up going pretty good overall after that. But sometimes, week one, you never know what could happen just because it's the first game. Teams haven't put on tape, what their defense or offense looks like if they have a new offensive coordinator or a new defensive coordinator. And so it's going to be a good test for the Packers and the Eagles, I think. And I think it's going to be a really good game to start off in Brazil against two of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And then here we have from Love a few more quotes. He said, "If we can limit all of the mistakes and we're out there making plays, flying around and having good days like today against a great defense, I think that's the bar. You never really know until you get out there, but we're just trying to be as ready as we can be." And then he said here, "I think it's all about the play we got versus what they're doing." Love said, "We've run all these plays throughout camp a good amount versus our defense. Just being able to see a different defense and see somebody who hasn't really seen some of the stuff we're doing and just trying to see if we execute it at 100%. That's what we did out there." And that was referring to the joint practice that the Packers had against the Ravens on Thursday. Of course, the preseason game is on Saturday, and so we'll get to see a little more there. I'm guessing a lot of the starters will not be playing, just like what happened last week with Matt LaFleur sitting 31 of the Packers players. But one thing I think, when you look at training camp, when you look at preseason, Matt LaFleur has touched on it in some of his interviews, that lots of the schemes and the plays the Packers are calling are very vanilla. They're not, showing everything they're going to be showing once the season starts because, why would you go out there in camp and in a preseason game and basically display to the world, display to other teams what you're going to do come week one? You sort of want to keep all that hidden. And while you maybe have some of the simple things out there in the preseason, you keep a lot of those more complex things for the regular season so teams can't prepare for you and expect certain things. You want to come out there with, new things up your sleeve that the defense maybe doesn't see coming. And so that's why I think when you look at some of these preseason games and you look at some of these joint practices, the Packers aren't showing everything out there. And I think that once, Matt LaFleur has that ability to unleash everything, he's such a good play caller. He's so good at scheming up open receivers, which I think really allows all these different talented receivers and Jordan Love to make the most of basically what they have on this Packers offense. And so it's going to be fun once week one comes around, because I think you can gain some understanding here and there from training camp, especially when it comes to the roster battles and how they're playing certain guys, where they're playing certain guys. You can definitely take away a lot from training camp, but it's, you don't really know for sure until the regular season starts, and that's when we finally get to see, how these guys actually look, the things they need to work on. We'll get a really good idea about this Packers defense and maybe where the strengths and weaknesses are and how Hafley likes to call his plays, things like that we just don't really fully know when it comes to Packers training camp. And Jordan Love sounds pretty confident in this team and this Packers offense and what they've been able to do throughout all of training camp. And you'd assume that the Packers going into week 1 this year have a different level of confidence compared to last year, where there were so many unknowns. They just wanted to go out there and show what they could do. Now I think they know who they are. They know their abilities and what they have the capacity to do. Where last year they probably had a thought that could happen, but until you go out there and do it, you don't really know for a fact. And so I think this year there's going to be a different starting point for this Packers young offense that got to experience success late in the season in the playoffs against the Cowboys, against the 49ers. And so that's all I wanted to share. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe. And if you want to see my recap video of tomorrow's preseason game, make sure you turn on the post notifications down below. You can also follow me on Twitter at LukeBeller3 for more Packers content. And I'll see you guys next time.